Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Finally, today we're talking all about this 2024 F150 XL. If you've been watching the channel, you know that I got this truck a few months ago. It's a truck that was put together by a local Ford dealership here in town. Has the Whipple supercharger, lowered, and a few other things. And I wanted to jump on here and just talk through some pros and cons, the impression I have of it after driving it around for a few months, and maybe just give you a few things to think about if you're thinking about either buying one of these trucks from a dealer, which they're starting to do in more spots across the country, or if you're going to build it yourself, some things to consider before you start buying parts. We're going to start out with the price, because I know you're all wondering. This thing was listed at the dealer for $75,000. When I saw that price tag, it was kind of like, I kind of had that impression, like, well, And I was in a spot where I'd been driving a project truck around for over a year, and it was getting really frustrating, and I was ready for something new. So I was definitely in a spot where I was ready to just spend some money in order to get into something. And when I came across this, I kind of instantly fell in love with it right away. Crystal loved it, and it was like, the price wasn't a huge deal. That said, I talked him down to $72,000. So that's what I paid for this thing. Just to put that in perspective, if you go out and just get a brand new base model 2024 F150 XL two-wheel drive with the lower options package, it's going to cost you $41,000. So that's our starting point. Then I'm going to pull out my phone and just list off what this thing has real quick. What the dealer did to this thing, they put on Weld Ventura Street wheels, the 20-inch ones. Those wheels are listed for $2,220. They wrapped them with Nito NT 420V tires. Horrible tires, by the way. Those are listed for $800. They put on Corsa Extreme exhaust. Comes out in front of the rear tire, $1,100. They put on a real truck backflip MX4 tonneau cover. That's $1,350. There's the Ford logo on the front that lights up. It's super cute. And that costs $300. The Gen 6 Stage 1 Whipple supercharger kit without the power demand, whatever, that's $9,500. And last but not least, they did the RideTech 3.5 drop kit with the traction bar add-on for $3,620. So you add all that up, you get to $18,890 in parts. You add in tax, and we can just call it $20,000. We have sales tax here. It's what I would have to pay if I purchased all that myself. So $41,000 for the truck, $20,000 in parts, and we're sitting at $61,000. And the way I view that is for someone to put all this stuff on, do the shopping, the installation, and work through the challenges of making it all work together, I'm paying $11,000. And for me, that's pretty cheap. That's, I don't know how many hours a shop would charge if you just hand them all those parts and said, do it all. I think it's a pretty fair price. I'm not sure that the dealer robbed me by any means. Crystal behind the camera just reminded me I forgot about the tint, which, let's call that $400. So as far as pros and cons, the price is neither one. It's whatever you think it is. For me, the price is fair for what I got, which was a completely finished truck that didn't require any of my time and is also backed by Ford with a bumper-to-bumper warranty and a shop that is ready to work on this thing anytime it needs it. and there's, to me, a lot of value in that. And so I feel good about the price. Maybe one of the bigger cons about going with this option is that I didn't love everything they picked out for the truck. Almost immediately, I had to get rid of the exhaust. The Corsa Extreme exhaust is a very popular option for these trucks, Mustangs, things like that, but I could not handle it. It was way too loud. I felt like I would have had all of my surrounding neighbors, including like the next neighborhood over, sending letters to the HOA anytime I tried to start it in the morning. Even if I took off pretty slowly from a stoplight, it sounded like I was flooring it, and it just wasn't for me. So I took that off. I sold it on Marketplace for 650 bucks or something, and that's exactly what it cost me to take it down to a local shop and have them install the 22-inch MagnaFlow muffler and then have a black tip come out just behind the rear tire. So I'm extremely happy with the sound and the volume now. We do have clips of each of the sounds so that you can compare the two. I was really glad I was able to get the sound and the volume I wanted for $0. It was an even trade, and that felt really nice. But let us know in the comments which one you prefer and what you think of the MagnaFlow. The other thing I switched out almost immediately was the tires, and that did cost me a little bit of money. The Nitos were very loud. They gave that wah 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 sound going down the highway. I just can't do it. That kind of stuff really bugs me. When I told the guys that built this thing that I swapped the tires out, they're like, what? It didn't even compute. So I get it, like a lot of guys just don't care, but I put on the Michelin Pilot Sport 4 SUVs to get the size I need, and this is by far the best tire ever created. It rides incredibly well for what it is on multiple different road conditions, and they're extremely quiet. I sold the old tires for about $450 or something, and then I paid $1,400 for these, so it cost me about $1,000 to get the tires I wanted on here. As far as like swapping parts out, there's nothing else I really need to do to this thing, which is good. So exhaust and tires were pretty quick and easy, didn't really cost me much, but pro versus con of getting something that someone else built and it not being quite to your liking, that's gonna be for you to decide. Moving right along, this is the two-wheel drive truck, and again, it's one of those things where I see a pro and a con at the same time. As far as getting the power of this thing onto the ground, the four-wheel drive guys, they win out every single time by far. This thing, it hooks up decently well. I haven't gotten any numbers as far as the 0 to 60 or anything like that, but I definitely can't take full advantage of the power because it'll just spin the tires, it'll go sideways. I really have to kind of modulate the throttle to get it to hook up. And with a four-wheel drive, you're just not going to deal with that. So if you're someone that needs the fastest 0 to 60 or quarter mile time, or you know you're going to be able to beat the guy going down the road next to you, the two-wheel drive is not going to work for you. That said, it is $5,000 less than the four-wheel drive, and it's just more parts, more weight, more stuff to worry about. So for me, I really like that it's a two-wheel drive. I'm not really trying to hot rod or race or anything like that. I like the cheaper price tag and less parts to worry about. With the Whipple supercharger kit itself, in order to warranty this thing, the tune on it is, you know, it's not fully optimized. It's optimized in order for Ford to be able to say, yeah, we'll back it. And so it's a little less power. It's not a drawback to me because this thing is insanely powerful and fast. It's scary fast. I'm pretty sure it's about 725 horsepower, 600 some odd foot-pounds of torque, and it is way more power than I've ever had in a vehicle, more power than I can control or harness or get to the ground. So the power is there. It is limited to 104 miles an hour, which there's been a couple times where I was like, well, dang it, you're trying to pass someone on the highway or whatever. Or if I was to try to take this thing to the drag strip, all I can get is my 0 to 60 time, because I'm going to limit out at 104, which is, yeah, but whatever. It's not that big a deal to me, but definitely something to consider if you're going to go this route from the dealer. As far as the RideTech drop kit, I learned the hard way from the Chevy that I had that when you lower a truck, it's going to throw off all your geometry and your angles with your driveline, and that's going to cause vibrations. And I struggled for months to try to get rid of the vibration of the Chevy. It's not perfect yet. It might not ever be perfect. And this thing has had the same issues. When I test drove it from the dealer, like, oh my goodness, it was bad. The dealer said, hey, we're going to get this thing perfect. We'll just take it back to the shop and they'll get it dialed in. Okay, perfect. 3 months into this, I've had it to the shop 4 or 5 times, and they are still working on getting rid of the vibration that's occurring in the driveline at highway speeds. If you're not familiar, when you lower the truck, the pinion angle changes and you need the angle of the drive shaft coming out of the transmission and the drive shaft going into the pinion to be the same and opposing. The RideTech kit comes with instructions that says, hey, here's how you start out. It gives you a certain way to put a bracket with a shim, and then it gives you like 3 options up and 3 options down, and you just have to start trying out different options to change the angle and find the option that is going to eliminate the vibrations that you might feel going around town or at highway speeds. So this is perhaps the biggest con of the option that I went with. The shop that built this thing they don't seem to be super familiar with the RideTech kit. They're good at what they do with the Broncos and everything, but they've had to do a lot of trial and error. I've been working with RideTech and relaying information to them, and it's been a bit of a wrestling match that's taken 3 months so far, and we're still not there. At this point, I've definitely lost a little bit of hope that we can even get rid of the vibration, and I'm starting to feel really bad that I keep giving this thing back to the shop. If we can get it to ride smooth, this thing is going to feel so dang good. I love the power. It feels good. It looks good. It's really enjoyable, and I'm really happy to own it. In a future video, I'm going to be testing out some soundproofing materials. Not that this thing is loud inside, but it is something I tend to do to all vehicles, and I found a really superior product, supposedly, that will be incredible. So I can't wait to get that done. And then this thing just may be the best looking and riding and sounding truck on the road. Would love to hear your comments and questions. If you're thinking about building one of these things or buying it from a dealer or whatever, shoot your questions my way. Leave your comments about what you think of this thing. You can be as brutal as you want. We actually get a lot of entertainment from the haters that leave comments. It's a lot of fun. And with that, thanks for watching. We'll see you on another one real soon.